Hello, everybody. I'm John Locke, and I'd like to welcome you to the LockeInYourSuccess.com Trading Performance Podcast, where it's all about real traders, real problems, and real coaching. Listen up and enjoy the segment. When you're in the middle of a multi-million-dollar trade, what are your thoughts? Again, the trade size doesn't matter. Whether you win or lose doesn't matter. And again, this is a reframe. You're like, John, what do you mean? What do you win and lose doesn't matter? Of course it matters. It's everything. And it's like, no, it can't be everything, because if it is everything, you are going to choke. Take this to any performance. If I may be like the best college basketball player in the world. If an NBA scout comes in and I get overly concerned about having to win, overly concerned about having to look good, overly concerned about having to perform, that is going to interfere with my ability to play the game. And I'm going to play the game at a lesser level than I'm capable of, sometimes at a much lesser level, sometimes at a disastrous level. I understand that. I'm a coach. I've coached sports, taekwondo, full contact fighting, as well as coach people in this regard and in life coaching and financial matters and so forth. So I've had a lot of education on this. I know this is going to happen, and now you know because I've told you. So again, I may have these thoughts that come up because I'm trading so large. However, I have to be able to detach from my thoughts. I have to realize that I am not my thoughts. My thoughts are just something that run. I decide what they mean. Right? You have automatic thoughts that run in your head, automatic stuff that pops up. You decide what they mean. Through meditation and so forth, you can detach from that. You can observe the thought, and then you can decide whether that thought is beneficial to you or not. See, a lot of people get caught up, and this is another thing, a lot of people get caught up in deciding if that thought is true or not. In other words, they think the thought comes up and they think that it's true. What I want to pose to you, and okay, so they think that it's true, and then they go through this process of trying to convince themselves that it's not true. And what I would urge you to do, rather than to do that, rather than to try to convince yourself that a thought isn't true, is to just ask yourself, is the thought useful? Because whether it's true or not, if it's not useful to you, there's no point in thinking it. There's no point of paying it any attention. It's time to change it. If it is useful, then attach onto it, or decide what type of thought would be useful here. What type of thought would bring me to the emotion that's going to cause me to make the best decision at a time like this. And then you grab onto that thought and you use that thought. So that's what you need to do. So you want to choose. Now, like I said, I probably have a lot of the same thoughts you do if I'm in a trade that's bigger than what I'm used to, say. I'm sure the same thoughts come up, the same sensations come up in the body. Those types of things happen. You're a human being. You're programmed to run for safety and to avoid risk. Those thoughts come up. They happen. But your job as a top performer is to realize that those thoughts are not you. Those thoughts are not necessarily true, and they're not. And if they're not useful, let's just figure out what is useful and then go with that. And that's the type of thing that we need to do. And that is what I have for you today. If you have any questions or comments or anything else you'd like to see in the next Trading Performance podcast, please list that in the comments and I'll personally answer your questions and comments for you. Also, I'd love to encourage you to come on over to LockeInYourSuccess.com. That's LOCKE in yoursuccess.com, and check out our Trading Performance and Pro memberships, where you can find the tools you need to become a much more effective trader, regardless of the type of trading you do. Thank you for joining me. I look forward to seeing you on the next Trading Performance podcast.